Joining me in the KX Country Clubhouse, the one, the only gunslinger, also known as Meghan Patrick, Bill's Mafia.
Hello.
How are you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. And you know, in relation to the Bills, it's been a long time since I've been able to say that. So,
What's it been, like 25 years?
25 years.
Put you at 1 or 2 years old, maybe?
Well, I mean, we were in the playoffs a couple of years ago, but the last time we won a playoff game was 25 years ago. So
yeah. That was a hell of a game.
It was intense. So I had actually booked a writer's retreat with a bunch of my girlfriends, like last year, well before I knew whether or not we were going to even make the playoffs, let alone that we were going to play on a Saturday afternoon while I was supposed to be writing. And so I was when we were playing at noon, I was like, okay, what do I do? And so I just kind of told my girlfriends, I was like, okay, I'm so sorry. I'm totally focused on this song, but like the Bills are playing in the playoffs and I need to have the game on while we're writing, because we were in this little studio and we had a TV and stuff. So we ended up, I just like I had the game on mute, like while we were writing the song, and we were writing this really great song too. And I feel bad for them, because there was a few times where, somebody would throw out a line and be like, well, what do you guys think about like this line? And I'd be like, no, but I was yelling at the TV. And it was the game.
But you're a fan. You're a fanatic though, Meghan. I appreciate that, being a Vikings fan, and frustrated at that, but you're a fan, and I know you're on Twitter and doing a lot of things, but that's just the fanatic in you. I love it. I think it's awesome.
Oh yeah, no, I get very, very excited and worked up about the games. And like, especially this year. And that game yesterday was so close. And to be honest, man, I was like, that first half of the game, I was like, what are you guys doing?
It was a rough start, I know. And then to come down to a Hail Mary pass, like, you must have been just physical.
It was just rough, because it was like, the last like 10 games we played of the regular season, we were just on fire. We put 56 points up on Miami. We were just so unstoppable, and we just looked so good. And I was like, and it was just like deja vu, it was like PTSD of all the times that you think the Bills are getting good, and then they would just completely poop the bed. Sorry, I was trying to.
Hey, I'm a Vikings fan. I can relate. Just get you up right to that point, and then just kaboom, right?
Well, and I think it's like part of it too is like, I feel almost like a little like protective over this team, because especially like Josh Allen, because he's clearly such a great player. He's our franchise
MVP status, man.
And yet there are still haters, and there are still people that are like, I don't know, we'll see, like people who still don't want to believe. And so I was like, you have to win this game, because if you don't, then everybody's gonna like, hey, he told you he was the real deal. I wanted it so bad for them too, because
cool.
Like I've watched, first of all, this is like one of the first seasons where I've like sat and watched all the like post game coverage and all the interviews and stuff, because quite frankly, I want to listen to everybody talk about how good my team is, instead of how bad my team is.
That's a nice switch, isn't it?
And it's like,
That's
I
cool.
watched the Bills put up this a little, like, I don't know, which like you could even call it like a mini like documentary thing or whatever. It's like 30 minutes. They put it up on their YouTube the other day, and I was watching it, and just the interviews and the footage of the team, like even just in practice and stuff, not even when they're playing games. And you can just tell there's the love is just so strong in this team. Like there's so there's such a vibe, man. Like they're really truly a team together.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a big part of it. Like, not just that we have great players who have the skill sets to win, but they are playing as a team to win together, and they're feeding off of each other. Watching this team and how much love they have for each other, and how much respect they have for each other. And, and especially for Josh Allen, and they're all so aware of how important this is to the fans too, and how excited we are. And it's like, you know, they don't want to let us down, and we want it so badly for them because
Did you like that little? Did you like that little Christmas gift from the Minnesota Vikings, number 14, Stephon Diggs?
Yes, yeah.
He's doing so well with you guys.
Present. And, you know, I'll be honest, like when we got Diggs, I mean, his skills were, I mean, there was no question about that, but I was like, I wasn't sure if he was going to be the right type of player, like if his attitude or his vibe going to fit with the Bills, you know, because there is a certain attitude and there's a certain vibe on that team. And you know, watching the friendship between Allen and Diggs is, I mean, I'm obsessed with it. It's like my favorite new thing is like watching those two talk with each other, you know, in the post game interviews, and like just seeing energy. It's like, guys, like gets me emotional. You know?
It's chemistry, though. Well, good luck against Baltimore next round. I was gonna. Do you do any rituals before you watch a game other than drink Miller Lite?
Yeah, not really. I mean, that's pretty much it. I just well, so I want to say maybe I want to say 6 games into the season, maybe I finally bought a Josh Allen jersey because up until then, I had the last jersey I bought was Fred Jackson. You know, I mean, that was the last player that I really, really loved on the Bills. And I mean, even after he left, I was like, I don't know if I'm trying to spend money on a jersey with any of these guys' number on it, you know?
Preaching to the choir on that one, man.
Yeah. And so I had been, you know, religiously still wearing my Fred Jackson jersey for every game. And yeah, I think it was a few games into the regular season. I think it was probably about 6 games. I can't remember which game it was. I'd have to look back, but Allen just played his ass off. And I was like, okay, all right, I'm sold. Because it wasn't just like we won the game, like he was playing well. And not only that, like I just could see specifically all the things that he had improved on. You know, everybody said, oh, you can't improve accuracy. Well, he did exactly that. I mean, he always had the big arm, but his consistency and accuracy was off. And he has dialed that in like crazy. And not only that, I mean, he doesn't get shaken up in the pocket. He is still till the last second as he's on his way down, he is still trying to make the play. And I mean, 9 times out of 10, he does. You know, it's
okay. Let me ask you. You support this, so what's it going to take for Meghan Patrick to fly through a card table?
When we win the Super Bowl. I made a statement, and now it's out there for the world, so I'm gonna have to hold to it. Not only would I go through a table, I would get a tattoo. So here we are.
Wow. Okay. See, ladies and gentlemen, that's a fanatic right there. True fan. What I want to talk, we should probably talk some music too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Sure. What? I haven't worked in a year.
Yeah, along with the rest of us, it's been absolutely, it's been weird, but looks like brighter days ahead. I want to go back to, I think it was last week, you guys did a live gig. Was that with Lindsay Ellen Friends? Can you tell us a bit about that one?
Yeah, it was awesome. Ray Lynn had approached me about it because, you know, we've been talking about doing a fundraiser. You know, when we had the tornado hit last year, Mitchell and some of his friends had done a fundraiser for Nashville. And I mean, it was amazing. They raised a ton of money. And so Ray Lynn and Gabrielle Mooney, which is Shay Mooney's sister, they had decided they were going to do a fundraiser for Second Avenue after the bomb on Christmas Day. And so it came together pretty quickly, and Lindsay had her band in town. So her band kind of acted as the house band for all of us. And we all just played, 3 songs. And I mean, we followed all the COVID regulations. I had making comments about it, and because they have to, I guess, we wore masks. You had to reserve a table. You had to be sitting at your table. If you weren't at your table, you were wearing a mask, whatever. And also for most of the artists, I mean, we're getting tested so regularly every time we have to go do something,
right.
So everybody was safe, and we had a great night. I mean, for me, I can't tell you how much I've missed just being on stage with a band.
No
I haven't
doubt.
played with a band since March, since my last show, and I think it was Brantford, on the Wild As Me tour. And I really miss it. I mean, it's not just about like money and our livelihood, because it is that too, but it's just such a big part of my happiness,
Mhm.
to be able to do that.
Oh, I get it. You're not alone. I mean, everybody misses it. I think the last I saw you was with Carly Pearson, Old Dominion in Toronto at the Coca-Cola Center.
Yeah.
And it just seems like so long ago, right? In your circles, the people you talk to, what are you hearing as far as potential of live shows in 2021? I honestly don't think anything's going to happen in Canada till almost 2022, but that's just my own opinion. What are you hearing about in your circles and in the States?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, I hate it. I mean, I love Canada. I love touring in Canada. I mean,
Mhm.
that's where I got my start, But yeah, I agree. I think I'll be shocked if we start really playing shows again even this year, which is just devastating. I mean, that's the bulk of my income. That's still the bulk of my touring. Although I guess, now that we've gone to radio here in America, so I guess maybe it'll be a silver lining. It'll give me the opportunity to just shift my focus here and try and start doing some smaller radio tour stuff, because I haven't been able to do radio tour here, to push the new single. So, I mean, I know that there are places here in the US that are having some shows like at limited capacity and, socially distant, especially in the warmer states where they can still do stuff outside.
Right.
Um, so I'm just hoping that I'm going to have the opportunity to, because I mean, quite frankly, and I speak for myself and a lot of artists that are at my
Mhm.
level. I mean, I can't sustain another year without working. Like, it's just, I can't. It's not, we just bought a house last year, and,
Right.
we've been able to, thankfully we were good with our money before all of this happened. And,
Yeah.
we've smart with it since. And, I mean, we haven't really gone anywhere. The only trip we've taken was Mitchell and I went out to Arizona for his video, which was pretty
We
much
saw
paid
that.
for.
Yeah.
Mitchell was able to get a grant from Arizona Tourism in order to shoot that video. So I mean, that's the only place we've been. But yeah, I try to take it kind of like day by day, because it gets pretty scary when I start thinking about the idea of not working for a whole other year. I think a lot of people, it's been really frustrating to me, and I've stayed relatively quiet about most of these issues on social media, because it's just exhausting to fight
You
with
have to.
people, yeah, that don't want to look at facts, or that they've already decided they disagree with you. And so, they just want to argue, and they want to not only argue with you, but completely degrade your character and who
Oh,
you
for
are as a
sure.
person, because they don't
Keep
like what you have.
keyboard cowards, man. I can only imagine what it's like on your level. We get it too. You
Yeah.
try and just steer clear of it for right now, because quite frankly, nobody has the patience to deal with stuff like that. I hear you
Yeah.
loud and clear.
You've known me since my career started, and I'm not exactly the type of girl that generally shies away from saying anything, whatever. But I've also learned over the years that, there are things we're saying, there are battles worth fighting, and then there are
Pick and
ones
choose.
where it's just not worth even bothering, because the person you're trying to argue with isn't even listening. So,
No,
it's just, so I mean, look, at the end of the day, of course I want people to be safe, and, that's important to me, and I want my fans to be safe. But also, like, at some point we have got to start finding ways to go back to work, because every other industry has artists and musicians, and the music industry, that's the only
Mhm.
industry that's not found a way to start playing and having shows and doing things again. I mean, restaurants, bars reopened at limited capacity. They have their rules,
Right.
sports, every single thing. So
I
why
agree.
why are we being held to a different standard than everybody else? And then it's like, sometimes I think people forget that, first of all, just because you've had your name on a billboard, or you have a blue check mark beside your name, does not mean that you're it doesn't mean that you're like rich and famous and like above the consequences of this pandemic. It does
Everybody
not.
needs a meal ticket. I hear what you're saying,
Yeah.
man. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, like let me just start by saying that. And and second of all, it's like sometimes I think people think because music is seen as like, an extracurricular, like a luxury to them, like to go and see a show. And just because they think, well, I can go without seeing concerts, for the sake of everybody's safety. And it's like, well, good for you. I, as the person who pays their mortgage off of playing concerts, cannot go without another year. So let's figure out a way to make it work. And if you feel nobody's forcing you to go, if you feel like you are still don't feel safe with the restrictions in place, then don't go.
Don't go. I hear you loud and clear on that one. Well, honestly, things are going to get better. The vaccination program started here in Canada. Obviously, you guys are underway in the States. Yep. So there are brighter days ahead. Let's talk about the music you've been working on. You guys just finished the album. How do you feel?
Yeah, so we finished, we did all the tracking last week. I'm going to be going in to finish all the vocals and stuff this week. Gotcha. So excited about this record. I mean, every time I put out a new record, I'm trying to level up. I'm trying to, give you guys something that is fresh, and, always trying to continue to give you a little bit something, a little like I want to give you the music and the things that made my fans and everybody love me in the first place. But I always want to keep growing as an artist, continuing to find new angles and new sides of myself to show you guys. And I feel like, so I co-produced on this record as well, which was a big deal with friend Joey Hyde, who's amazing. We've written a ton of songs together. And so, first of all, this was a very like collaborative process for me, which was very cool, because I wanted to create a sound in my records, not just write the songs, but, create the production and everything to where every record I put out, I'm getting closer and closer to a sound that is 100% and uniquely me. When all my favorite artists, if you listen to, for example, you hear an Eric Church record, it's an Eric Church song, within, exactly. It doesn't, and I want to have that kind of recognizability. I don't even know if that's a word, but
works with me.
Yeah. But so that was really cool. And, and I think the other part of it too, is that all the songs on this record, I mean, I've spent pretty much 5 days a week of every week of the last year just writing songs, because I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't go on the road. I've never had the opportunity to focus on just songwriting like that before, because usually, I'm on the road. Most times I was gone, say Thursday through Sunday, and I might have Monday through Wednesday to write a song, do my laundry, get some sleep, see my friends, kind of cram it all in there. And also when I was touring a bunch, it was like I would get a little bit of a break, and I'd be on like this deadline, like, okay, so we need these songs by this time, and then we need to go into the studio by this time in order to get this record out. And so sometimes, when you're writing under a deadline, I think it changes your creativity a little bit, especially if you've got, the label saying, okay, we love all this, but like, we really want like another up tempo, or we want this, or we want that. And you're trying to like fit the puzzle pieces together to make a great record. And sometimes it works, for me. I'm somebody that I think works well under pressure, but I also think like, because I was able to take the time to write all these songs. I mean, some of these songs I didn't just write in one session. Some of them I wrote over multiple sessions to make sure that they were really great and that they were perfect. And I think that effort and that time is going to show in the songwriting on this record. So I'm excited for everybody.
We're excited for it. I'll get you out of here on this one. I hear you have parted ways with your original pick-em-up truck. Yes. Yeah. Well, so, I mean, technically I parted ways with her when I left to move to Nashville. After, I think I've told you this story, but for anybody that's listening, in case they haven't heard it, the day I signed my record deal at Warner, I had $2.83 in my bank account, and I drove that truck to Toronto to sign my deal, and it died in the parking lot.
And, you know, before that, you know, my dad had been kind of worried about me driving because I was having a lot of issues with it and a lot of things were going wrong. And I was so broke, you know, I couldn't really afford to fix anything. And I would rather die than ask my dad for money. So I was like, after that, he's like, okay, he's like, you signed a deal. You're going to have a little bit of money now. I think you need to get a new truck. And I was like, I really didn't want to, but he was like, look, he's like, you know, you can get at the time, you know, when I bought my new truck, it was like zero money down, 0% financing for like 4 years, you know, and he's like, look, he's like, you need something reliable that's under warranty. So I did. And he said, look, I'll make you a deal. He said, I need something at the foundry just for the guys to use, just a work truck. He said, so I'll pay for, you know, whatever it needs fixed if you want to just to have at the foundry. And then he said, if you really want to go by and drive her sometime, you can. So that's what we did. And, you know, every time I would come home to visit from Nashville, I would always have the truck for a few days just to get around. And, I remember the last time I came home and drove that truck, I was driving down Main Street or no, it wasn't Main Street. It was on Murns in Bowmanville. And, the tail fell off. The tailgate fell off. No, I was on Main Street because there was people out there and they were looking at me. The tailgate just fell off, hanging out the back of the truck, and I could see like sparks coming out behind me and hear it just like dragging on the concrete. So yeah, so that truck was kind of on its last legs. And then my mom around Christmas, she kind of surprised me. She said, "So I thought of something really cool to do with your truck. I contacted Donate a Car Canada, and basically what you can do is you can donate the vehicle either to be given to somebody through a charity, or they sell it for parts or scrap, and then the money is donated to your favorite charity." So I've done some work with Denise House. I love what they do. So yeah, so we donated the truck to Denise House.
Outstanding. Nicely done, giving back to the community. Meghan, thank you for your time. Really good to see you. We can't wait to see you back here in Canada. Can't wait to get you back to the station, have you on the air again, and see you live in concert. Good luck next weekend against the Ravens, my friend.
Woo, go Bills.